Martin Miley, Councillor Miley, and this is Tricia Ryan. Tricia's from, she's running the general election here for Sinn Fein. So this meeting is called, after the meeting I went to the other night in Kildare regarding the withdrawal of services there. And I suppose locals on the other bus route, the bus through Athy, down to Clonmel, up and down, I was made aware that they're curtailing that service, and that's supposed to happen according to Bus Éireann at the end of March. So that's a major problem. I know tomorrow I have a meeting with JJ Cabinet in Urlingford, and I suppose it's not looking good either, the news there. He wasn't able to confirm a date with me, but I do believe that that's to be curtailed as well. So we've received correspondence from the NTA, the National Transport Agency, and you should have it in your hand there. And Anne Graham, the Chief Executive Officer of the NTA, Deputy Stanley there. Oh yeah. Deputy Stanley's organising a meeting with the Chief Executive Officer on our behalf here, but I suppose it's just to get a feel of what the locals, I know some of you use the bus service there, and how it's going to impact it yourselves, and what we can actually do. So I suppose maybe you want to say a few words, Martin.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I suppose this is an issue that has happened relatively quickly. I suppose our knowledge has come from the bus drivers themselves informing people that use the bus that the bus service is going to be withdrawn. The NTA is the governing body too. It's like the NRA, but it's the NTA, the National Transport Authority. And they license a private operator to provide a service. And on the 5th of January, they gave JJ Kaplan, and I hate using his name because he runs a very, very efficient service and he has served everyone in the community extremely well. The NTA granted him a licence to come onto the motorway at Carlow and leave Castledermot, Moon, Timolin, Crookstown and up to Kilgore and on to Kilcullen, not to service that area. Granted, he's 2 services in the morning, leaving and heading towards Dublin, and he has 1 service coming back at night, which is at 7:30 in the evening, which has affected them enormously. In the meantime, JJ Cabinet has applied to the NTA and has received the licence to withdraw the service out of Athy, or most of them, to go onto the motorway in Kilkenny and straight to Dublin. So he's not going to service Ballylinen, Newtown, Criddyard, Castlecomer, that section of road up into Athy and on to Kilcullen. So JJ Cabinet has a licence at this moment in time to withdraw from Athy. He has withdrawn some services. If you're using the bus, he might be able to give us more experience than we realise. But he has withdrawn some services at this moment in time. Some will, some won't. My own mother was on it last week and she got the 9:20 out of Fonstown, and when she was coming back, the bus was going on to the motorway at Kilcullen and heading on down that way. It wasn't coming through Athy or Ballylinen or Urlingford or Newtown or Criddyard. So that has started to impact Athy already. It hasn't seriously impacted it yet, but it's going to get worse. On top of that, Bus Éireann have given us that they're pulling out at the end of March. Granted, they have a tender out at the moment for a new bus service to service from Athy straight to Dublin. They have no time scale in relation to when that is starting. They won't confirm to us is that going to start in conjunction with the one that's pulling out. Now you would like to think that it is, but they haven't given us a commitment with it. There was a committee set up last week or a number of weeks ago in Castledermot. Now granted, we've had 3 meetings in Castledermot because they've started a little bit ahead of us, and at the last meeting there was about 120 people at it. So this has really started to intensify. What I would see happening now, or they met with the Minister last week. The area committee, which is the Athy Municipal District, I'm chair of it, and it's nothing personal with me, we were refused any access to that meeting. But the information we're getting back was, from the people that were at it, that the Minister was astonished that this has happened. Now, quite frankly, I said at the meeting that if he's astonished that this is happening, he should resign, because the NTA is an arm of his body, and he should have known that this was happening. And there's no service being put in place in relation to it. So we have to move quickly to stop this happening. What he's also said is going to set up a meeting with the NTA and Bus Éireann. Hasn't happened yet. And all this time, the buses are starting to not stop. The problem with Bus Éireann going to service all the way to from Athy to Dublin is that they're not going to stop at Kilmead. They're not going to stop at the 7 Stars, which is stop on a regular basis at the moment. They'll go straight direct to Dublin. So if you're coming, granted if you live in Athy, you'll be grand, you'll come straight into Athy, but if you live on the rural areas, it won't stop. Someone has to drive after you and bring you home. So I think we have to organise ourselves extremely well from this meeting and start to lobby as best we can to continue the services here and possibly increase them.
Thanks, Mark. Understanding?
Yeah. Well, firstly, thanks for the invitation and thank Tom for organising the meeting here tonight. And Martin has outlined some of the problems with it. Martin has outlined some of the problems from the point of view of, the Athy end of it. From the Laois end of it, it means, complete withdrawal of services the whole way up along from Castlecomer, obviously into Athy. And with the changes with the N7 route, I mean, basically what's happening there is that you're losing 15, total of 15 stops altogether. I mean, it's basically from Kilkenny train station to Newlands Cross, that's it, there's nothing in between. So, Martin mentioned, the Minister should know. Yes, the Minister should know. The previous Minister knew as well, but they have done this. This has happened on the N7 Dublin to Limerick. It has happened on the N8 Dublin to Cork. Where they took out all the stops out of Portlaoise, and reduction in services in Portlaoise as well. So obviously, the key thing here is that we mustn't get segregated in terms of, I know there's other meetings going on, but the reason I came here is that, I feel that if the people in the Athy area, Castledermot, and the people in Ballyline and Swan Credit Yard, I think Martin and the rest of Tom and Tricia agree with this, that if there's not a united front on this, if the bus service, there's not going to be a bus service into one pocket and just go any further. We have to try and put forward an alternative and to say, look, that all the stops the whole way in relation to the Route 7 from the railway station in Kilkenny right up to Newlands Cross, that they need to be serviced, and there shouldn't be a withdrawal of it. What they've done with the other ones, with the old Dublin to Cork one, which went through Abbeyleix, Cullihill, Durrow and down that way, to put in place a staging bus, that was supposed to tie in private operator from Ballyraggett, and there's a service there. It's not near as good as what was there, but it's basically what's happening here is that here you have semi-state company receiving public subsidy, and rightly so, because there's no public transport system in Western Europe that I can find that's actually self-sustaining, because public transport, particularly in rural areas, doesn't pay for itself. The more than running electricity poles up the side of the mountain, up to 1 or 2 houses, that doesn't pay for itself. That's the reason we have things called PSOs, public service obligations. And these outfits, the likes of Bus Éireann, the semi-state company, they get a subsidy from the government every year for this, right? And I believe that, that the NTA, the National Transport Authority, and I know this is a bit convoluted because they oversee this, they license it, they authorise the routes, but they have a role in it as well. And, we have been talking to them about these issues in the past to try and resolve them. I think that they have in one document they sent to us, said that the authority is now examining what might be an appropriate PSO, public service obligation service, to put in place if funding is made available. And they outlined the 3 options in relation to the Castlecomer route, the Carlow, Castledermot, and Route 130, which is the one from Athy here across to Kilcullen. But they do go on to say then that, you know, that to identify options to either reconfigure the existing subsidised service or procure new services through competitive tender, which means put it out to tender. And to do say that they would welcome local feedback. I reckon they need, you know, I think they need to hear very, very strong local feedback, and I think that the best case that we can make for the services in the area here, we should be doing that. And certainly I want to try and support it in any way that we can. But it's part of, I mean, if it was to sum it up, it's Bus Éireann pulling away completely from the anything based on the motorway. You know, if it's not on the motorway, if it's not on the roundabout on the motorway, they're going away from it. And I think that, you know, all those roads are busy roads. You know, right down along, whether it's the one over to Castledermot or the one going down to Gomer or the Carroll one. I think, you know, we should try and ensure that we get a good service back in place and put forward ideas. You know, I mean, one idea I've heard put forward before was that the school buses parked up a lot today. You know, some of them were owned by Bus Éireann. Now, I lived in a place, part of Scotland, for a couple of years when I was working there many, many moons ago. And the van that came out to collect the post at Innerwick, which is a local village, a local post office, I was working on a construction project up there. But it caught my eye, it had a crew cab. So they come out and they put the mail in the back of the van. But they also, and it's a Royal Mail that was on the side of it, not the Royal vans you see in England and Scotland. But it's also to carry passengers into the village, from the village into the nearest town, which was Dunbar, and into Edinburgh. You know, so, you know, like think outside the box here. You know, if you drive around the country there and you see school buses parked up all day, and I'm not saying that's the solution here, but the government and the transport companies need to be looking at alternatives like that. You know, and imaginative alternatives. But what's also important is that when the new service started up on the Cllr Doro Abbeyleix route, when that was cut off and put in place the private bus, it was coming into Portish 10 minutes behind when the bus left for Dublin. So that wasn't much use, you know. It has to be integrated. And, you know, we need to make sure that it ties in with the services. You know, that people aren't dropping somewhere after a bus or train has just passed by. We need that tied in with the existing transport services. But look, I want you to look at that. I just think that there is a public service obligation there. They are subsidised. They are supposed to be examining it. You know, and you know, in this correspondence to say that they're open to local views on it and feedback. And I think that we need to try and convey that in the strongest possible terms to them.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you.
My children used the bus to go to Dublin to college. They've used the bus. We were just sitting there last Sunday waiting on the bus, half an hour late. And I just said to my daughter, how many times have we waited on the buses here, JJ Cannons and the other bus? And I mean, it's hard to believe that it's even considered that, you know, we wouldn't have a bus service. I mean, it's like going back to the dark ages, and all the talk about rural development and, you know, bottom-up policies. And if you have a minister who doesn't know about this, it's a serious, serious issue.
So you're basically saying that this would seriously discommode you and your family?
It would, and all the people I see standing outside the Castle every morning waiting on the bus, and the service, the lovely service that's given, it's almost like the post office. The chat with the, you know, the people, the elderly people getting on and getting off, and the security it gives them, and it's you know, another presence in their life. I think it's very, very important that we have it.
But one of the things they said was that with this new PSO that they were developing was that they would have a service from Castlecomer at 6:20 in the morning up to Naas, and then you get another bus from Naas into the city, which sounds completely haywire.
It's crazy.
I mean,
It's a waste of time.
That's stupid.
Waste of time.
Absolutely stupid.
sorry, man.
I've commuted for the past 12 years back and forth to Dublin for work.
Where are you from, sir?
I live in Dunbryn. The current services as they exist, the last train from Euston Station is at 8:10 at night. Directly after that, the last bus with Bus Éireann is at 8:30 at night. Then after that, JJ Cabinet runs a bus at 9 o'clock at night, and also at 11:30 at night. Now, working in the city centre, where you work an ordinary working day, trying to get out prior to 6 o'clock in any sort of job is very difficult. With build-ups, accidents on the Lewis line or whatever, it's very difficult to get the 6:35 train, which is the previous train that goes 6:35 or 6:25, which goes to Athy. The service is down. If these services are withdrawn, it will put more pressure on Irish Rail. Currently, from using Irish Rail, the stock that Irish Rail uses, if anybody commutes up by train, is 3 carriages on most of the routes, and they will justify on the Waterford line, even though they have a new stock of trains, that is enough to get people up and back to Dublin. It is not. There's elderly people, there's people with medical ailments that are standing. There's better services in India, and if you withdraw bus services from this town, it will put further pressure on Irish Rail. And there's no safety for anybody. JJ Kavanagh operate an excellent service at night. Anybody that has ever had the unfortunate instance of having to go to St James's Hospital with a dying family member or anything else, or has to stay up in Dublin outside of those hours, visit anybody in a nursing home, in a hospital or whatever, is not able to manage to make a 6:35 or an 8:10 train down. The services, as they stop en route down, the JJ Cabin drivers are very friendly and very amenable to all the passengers. They will stop, make sure that they are left off at a set-off point in a safe environment. It is horrific to think in this day and age that you would let young, vulnerable people and women of all ages and other people out at the side of a road without, having somebody that would stop or leave them miles away from where they're supposed to be, reliant on family members or friends to pick them up, or further increasing their cost where they have to try and organise a taxi to link up with a service. That is the commuting system that exists to this town and to the surrounding areas at the moment.
But I just want to say that this is not a single issue. First of all, we will start with the rural transport in the south of the county. If I want to go to Dublin, or I come from Limerick, if I want to go to Limerick, if I want to go to Dublin, I have to stay overnight if I use rural transport to get from Timoline, where I live, to Athy, to get on a train or a bus. And rural transport ends at 5:30 in the evening, because it was suggested that rural transport might supply a service out in Kildare. They stop work, they go home at 5:30. So they certainly at the moment are not going to do it. And it's very unlikely that they're going to have a rural transport going on till say 9 or 10 at night. So that seems to be not on. The idea of changing a NACE, that's not on. For God's sake, you couldn't get it. If they put any more buses into the central NACE, you won't be able to have traffic going through it in order to change the bus. And you have to have buses going from Athy, Carlow, or that area somewhere up along. And the idea again of having 2 buses in the morning and 1 bus home is a bit cracked, isn't it? That means there are only 2 half-full buses in the morning and 1 home if you want to provide a service. So the thing about Bus Éireann supplying the service is that it is illegal to park or stop inside the yellow line on the road. And Bus Éireann will not stop inside the yellow line. The cabinets have been doing it all along. In actual fact, I think you would agree with me that it is actually illegal to do it. And that's so, if you get Bus Éireann back, you would have to get islands, bays in for them to stop in. So let's not forget that while we're planning the thing. In other words, the whole thing has to be planned as one operation. Otherwise, it's going to be useless, because they will not stop unless there are bus stops and places to stop. Funnily enough, well, of course, there's no yellow line in Kilcullen. They can stop there, even though they set a traffic lights within 30 feet of it. Now, this is not just buses gone. This is the annihilation of rural Ireland, quite honestly. Do you realise that this means that we were promised that free travel would not be affected? Free travel is now affected, completely affected. There is no travel, no free travel, because there's not much point in going. You don't really see free travel people going off at 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that, you know, and coming back at 6. So free travel is gone. Note it. And we were promised otherwise. The Garda stations all around rural Ireland are gone. Our Garda stations are gone. Post offices are going. Letter boxes on the side of the road, instead of the postman coming in and knocking on the door. He was one of the greatest social services that we've had in this country, in towns and in villages and in the countryside. And now you have to have your post box out on the road in case he might see that you're dead inside the door.
The problem is not just in the tie, like we're saying, it's starting from Clonbell through the little villages and all that. But it goes there and start cutting out, going out to the motorway, and from Kilkenny, they're saying they're not getting enough of people coming through, picking up. We do start in Kilkenny and see what has to come into Cllr, see what gets off in Cllr, see what gets on in Cllr, come to Cretty Yard, a few there, all right, no, people still needed, maybe people going to the hospital. You go to Newtown Cross, you'll have a few there, come to Ballylinen. People are right. There's always people waiting over here that I come through it often here outside in the tie here. Even up in Naas, and people get up there. The way they're going, they just don't want to know about us. They're going to put us out. The bus passes are going to be wasted freaking time because they're better off burning them because they're not going to be used. Cabinets reckons they're not making it pay with the bus passes. They'll have to charge. They're talking about that. So. Well, we're trying to, it's like Clonmel, the towns up there, they have a crowd going, you've probably spoken to a few of them up there. I think we need all to get together, all the parties and all the councillors need to get together and get this sorted out once and for all.
There's no bus service, particularly rural bus services, and public services, public bus services, across Europe, but particularly in a rural country like Ireland, where it's like we're not densely populated, that actually pays for itself. So it's one of those services there. I believe myself, for what it's worth, that if it's actually organised properly, it would pay for itself. That if you go to the north, for example, you see little bus shelters at every crossroads, where the school kids use them in the morning, and people using the buses during the day use a very small bus shelter. Whereas here there's an awful rigmarole trying to get a bus shelter in place anywhere. But if there's bus shelters where people can stand into the wet day, wait for a bus, properly advertised, integrated service, connected up with other parts of it. Martin highlighted a good example there of the situation with people getting on the bus, and if they miss that bus, the next one doesn't stop in Castleton where they want to go off. And that you can give examples of that all over the place. But there's obviously, there's very little coordination with the whole thing. But look, I think the big thing here, and the man who spoke there in relation to that, is more than one thing. You're correct. But for now we have the battle. We have a big battle on here, I think, to try and get the service, keep the service running in South Kildare and down into across East Laois. I think we have a huge job in our hands, and I think that what we need to do is do the best we can. I know Cabinet's tapping a date given, and I don't know if they have. There's still no date off them. I'm surprised with Cabinet's because if Bus Éireann wants to pull away from what they call the stage routes, in other words, stopping at the towns and villages like Ballylinen and Cretty Yard, Castlecomer, etc. That's fine, and that's when we met Martin Nolan about some of the routes in Laois, we clearly got that message off him that he wants to just travel the highways. But I mean, public, the passengers are standing in the towns waiting. That's why you become passengers. If you're on the motorway, all you have is the passengers you leave from one city to another with, and that's fine if that's what they want to provide. But who provides the vital service? Is the rest of the counties in between those cities to be abandoned the whole way from Limerick to Dublin? Is that the way it's going to be? Or from Cork or from Waterford to Dublin? So, but I think that we should try and put together a united front, to try and get the best service that we can. It may not replace, like you're losing 7 Cabinets, buses now just in that route, and six Bus Éireann on the Laois one, down to Comer. We won't match that, but we should try and do the best we can and try and make sure that it connects in properly. with the services that are there.
I suppose there's not many issues that would be as effective in uniting all political parties as this issue of rural transport. And I think every one of us, no matter what party we belong to, can give you a clear commitment that we will work together. I mean, you look at what's happened in this country over the years and you'll see that political parties, the government and the population in general will take great pride in the fact that we've got a great system of motorways across the country. But when we built the motorways, nobody intended that the people in the towns and the villages would be abandoned and left isolated. And when the National Transport Authority was established, nobody thought that that National Transport Authority would go about its business in such a way as to give licences, whether to CIE or to private operators, to operate if they weren't going to provide a service to the people in the towns and villages. And if there's a problem with the legislation that established the National Transport Authority and it needs to be changed, then it should be changed. And I think politically we can put down amendments, we can draft a bill, we can do whatever needs to be done in that respect. And the other thing I think is, and Chair, you're right, I think we should get together and we should go as a matter of priority to meet with the National Transport Authority, and we should maybe even as a collective group go and meet Cavanaghs, because I suspect that Cavanaghs themselves might be more amenable to a bit of pressure than CIE is.
Each town needs to join together and each village needs to join together. We need an overall committee right across the way. So the message goes home to the people in charge of this, that it's just not Athy, it's just not Castledermot. We're here together as a group and we're working as one force. I mean, Sean is right, you know, there is obviously downfalls in the legislation that do need to be looked at. And all of us can do that through our own political parties and as one unit. And we have a very good reputation here in Athy as working as a good unit politically, you know, not one party or another party. But we need to bring that further. We need to go down to Castlecomer, we need to go to Castledermot, we need to go all the way up the line and work as one unit from now on.
The biggest, I think the problem arose from the fact that the CNMT gave a licence to Dublin Bus some time ago to run 6 express services from Waterford to kind of using the motorway. And that put the heart out of what JJ Cavan Bus here was doing. We have 11 services through Comer every day. We have 6 from us here and we have 5 from there. First we heard about, like I said, one of the drivers told us. Up to that it was only rumours. Since then I've been speaking on 2 occasions to Martin Nolan, who is the Chief Executive of us here. I've officially invited him down to a meeting. We have another meeting in Castlecomer on Monday coming, 8 o'clock. And we'd be delighted as well if we could come down and be more than welcome. But I think, Brian, I said at the last public meeting in Castlecomer that we had a certain amount of councillors trying to do what we could at local level. And I agree with what the doctor said behind as well. This now has been elevated to a new platform. And I think now that all the groups, whether it's Castledermot, Castlecomer, Athy, or wherever, that the Dáil deputies who represent those constituencies must now go as a block and work as a unit and go to Castledermot or go to the Anna of this world and try and see if we can get a solution.
If we allow this to happen, what will happen is the unemployment level will rise because people can't afford to get it. They just can't afford to pay for buses, so we will have to stick together on that. Just like the gentleman said at the back, if you're one of those people that travels to James's Hospital and you're trying to get there with a disability, if you don't have a proper way of getting there, you can't be standing waiting on a bus that's never going to come. So all parties will have to work on that.
Fares are going up by somewhat, I'd say over the past 5 years, they've gone up by 35%. Now, if somebody has availed of a tax saver ticket that costs thousands to commute back and forth and they cannot make a scheduled service, they cannot be let down. There needs to be provision here, and if it's going to be removed from one aspect and it's going to be increased and put on another party through the National Transport Authority, they need to start listening to people, seeing the impact, because it's decimating communities. It's a countrywide problem. It's not just down to the south. I know that's where representation here is from. Services were removed in Inishowen the year before last. They said, on the basis of the company going into liquidation, that they would put it out to public tender and they would come up with a feasible structure between Ulster Bus, Bus Éireann and private operators to get that going. I can tell you, because my father and family members are from there, it is now some 18 months later and nothing has been resolved. Communities are still without up there. So it's happening across the country, but it's not good enough that the services are withdrawn and then afterwards action is taken.
That the idea of trying to have a united front is certainly a good one. A united front, it's politically, but also a united front that if we could establish a group maybe from, and money just throwing this out here, from the Athy area, from the Laois area, from North Kenny, Cllr area, that we would, that would be going jointly, because while I know that the main route goes through there, the separate one, the Carroll and Ace one, maybe somebody from Castletermit, but trying to have it two-wheeled, and I don't have any fixed ideas about this, but representing Laois, I certainly want to try and do what I can. And Sean's idea, if Sean's up for it, maybe that to get an Oireachtas member from Kilkenny, Laois, south of there, but also maybe a councillor or two here as well, and maybe one member of the public as well from each of the areas. Not to have, if it's too big it doesn't work, if it's too small it doesn't work either. I'm just throwing it out there that maybe if there was, an Oireachtas member, a Dáil member, a Dáil TD from each of the counties, and maybe a councillor, two councillors, whatever, from each of the areas as well, and maybe 3 members of the public, the important people who use the bus service, to outline for their difficulties, meet the NTA. We were talking earlier before Sean came in about that. It was mentioned that of meeting JJ Captain. I think that's worthwhile as well. Also, but I do think that we need to go at it. Time isn't on our side.
It would be important that if people want to form a committee, I think it's what they do. I know tonight there's meetings North Kilkenny, meetings, certainly other meetings like this up and down the country. I'm certainly asking if anybody wants to put their name forward to set up a committee here. I think it's something we should do.
But I would suggest that, I don't have to come any blueprint ahead, but maybe if there's committees set up and, we look at maybe a councillor from each of the areas, and, that the Oireachtas members then would, would go along on any delegations, or try and organise the delegations in support, putting the political weight behind it.
Just listening to it, and that Anne Graham has the appetite to move this. And I know some TDs met Pascal O'Donoghue last week. This has to go to the minister at this particular point, and that's where we have to hold it. Because if the legislation, Sean Freeland has said that if the legislation is weak, they're bringing in amendments every day and every on other stuff. Amendment can be brought in. The cream now of the bus companies are gone on the motorway. The cream is gone, and we're left now with the rural people left to the wolves. That's exactly what it is, and I think we have to go to the minister with it again.
I think if you have a meeting next week, or if you have a crowd meeting, you'd have to get a committee together next week with time.
We can form all the committees we want, but the answers that we need are from the minister and they're from the NTA, and they're not going to talk to us, but they will talk directly to the Oireachtas members, and they'll talk now. So whether it's through parliamentary questions like the one that's going around there, but that's where the important lies. It's important at the speed that this is taken up, and it will be only taken up at that speed from the Oireachtas members. Yeah. So from Brian, from Jack, or from Sean, whoever it is that's here now. I know that Pascal O'Donoghue met last week with Martin Hayden. It was all over social media and stuff like that, but very little seems to have come from that. So I think the pressure needs to come on now from yourselves, not from people in supporting the minister.
Yeah. That we're going forward with a strong committee representing the areas, and to say, look, these are people, public representatives on the 3 routes, commuter from each of the areas, the local authority member as well, right? There's a united front here. This can't happen. We're not going to sit back and allow it happen. We're going to make sure that there's a service put in place, and we're not going to melt away. If this stops, if the services stop, we're not just going to let it lie and die away after a month or 2 months. We want to make sure that we continue working at this until there's a proper replacement.
Yeah. We've seen, I know Martin and myself, that we've seen the power of committees up and down this country with the pylons, the changes that the pressure they've put on the county council and the minister. massive effects, massive change. So I'd be hoping after this meeting tonight, when we get word from the librarians tomorrow, to maybe this time next week hold another meeting. Please tell your friends. It's all parties, bar none. You know, it's going to be a bigger meeting. We need to get all the deputies there, no excuses, and we need you there as well. So if there's...
Could I make a small suggestion? Just if people are out to make a small poster or make, you know, something out of you centrally, and just put them on a big card, hang them on the bus stop, hang them on your local bus stop. It's, you know, it's really the people who are affected. But there's probably many people getting onto those buses that have no idea, they're oblivious to what's going on, you know. I mean, I've only had, and into one contact from County Laois about this in Ballyline.
People don't know.
One.
They don't know.
They don't know.
In fairness, and this can throw in Castlereagh as well, this is not JJ Cabinet's fault. JJ Cabinet is not, he's withdrawn the service, but he has the responsibility to give us a public service. But the department they have the responsibility to give us a public service. And if they had to give him proper funding for the free pass and other issues, if they had to engage with him, he'd probably be still here. They didn't engage, and he has withdrawn the service from it. And I think JJ Cabinet, not speaking for him at all, I have talked to him on numerous occasions, but he has given a wonderful service to this area for the last number of years. And he quite possibly could be back if we got some of these issues ironed out. And he's very open to talking to us, and he will talk to a deputation, I'd say a 9 or 10 to go down to him. He'd sit around, but I'd say to come into a meeting like this, he might feel like he'd be alive.
We wrap it up then, and people that would like to put their names forward to get on to the committee, please come forward.
Oh,